Hello and welcome. This is Gbogbo Swagger and this is Swagger's Lifestyle. How are you doing? Hope you're staying true to yourself and hope you're good. Do you know that for thousands of years now, contracts has been very instrumental to market economies? All the Greek era, all the Egyptian era, all those times they had binding contracts. And even some of the contracts are still binding till today. So if in those days they were having contracts, why wouldn't you do contracts this year? But when you don't have any form of contract, you've lost. You need a contract. So today we're talking about law and contracts. They're not going nowhere because the person that we have today, he is a seasoned lawyer. He's a barrister. He's a solicitor. Very, very soon, we will up him. He will son in the making. I still remember with Swagger, do not go nowhere. Please subscribe to my channel. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Swagger's Lifestyle.
Welcome back. We're talking about contracts, we're talking about law, and we're talking about giveaways. So don't run away. At the end of the day, you would actually get something. Today, I have with me an amazing person. I think it's better for him to introduce himself. So can we meet you?
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. My name is Olumide Olujimi. I'm a lawyer, and that's basically much about me.
Why law?
I'd let you know that it was never something I planned in the first place. But I found myself there and enjoying myself.
So what is a contract and why is it important?
A contract is basically an agreement between two people to do some things for themselves. And why do people have contracts? It is so that people can be guided by particular terms and conditions. You may be aware of situations whereby people actually thought some people were going to do some things for them, and the other person actually expected some things from the other person. But because these things were never put in writing, it's left to assumptions. So more often than not, it leads to conflicts.
Now, a lot of people feel that, or they say that we had an agreement, like we had probably like a verbal contract.
Yes.
So why is it that is not enough? Why must it be written? Must contracts always be written? Can't we just have like a gentleman's agreement and everybody's cool and you stick to your own bargain? Is it possible?
Yes, it is possible. And in fact, the law recognizes verbal agreements. But what happens is that sometimes you may say some things and you may not actually mean those things. And when it comes to play, you realize that things are quite different. Then naturally it goes to conflict. For example, I may say I want to sell you a car, a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah. And
you also want a Mercedes-Benz. Then by the time you give me money and I give you the Mercedes-Benz, it is not until I give you the Mercedes-Benz you realize that, I did not actually state the actual Mercedes-Benz I want. I don't want this one.
Okay.
But if it was in writing, it goes a long way in guiding parties to know exactly what is expected of each person. For the lawyers basically, before you draw up a contract, you interview your client to know exactly what they want. Most times, it is after you interview the client that what they want is not what they're telling you.
Okay, so
yes.
For extra clarification.
Yes, you interrogate their thoughts, you ask them questions, you ask for the background of the whole transaction. So that advises the lawyer in knowing how to make up a document that will now be the contract at the end of the day.
So who has the authority to sign a contract?
Anybody can sign a contract as long as you're of legal age. When I say legal age, above 18.
So why must there be a witness?
It is not always necessary to have a witness. But for ease of identification of signatures and just to assist you in resolution of issues that may come up on that agreement, a witness is desirable.
So is it possible for me to refuse to sign the contract?
Oh, yes. You're at liberty to refuse to sign the contract.
And then what happens?
Well, nothing happens. That means you're not bound by any of the terms that are written. It is wise for the other party not to go ahead with the transaction anymore because it's a signal that things will go wrong.
Okay, so you said earlier how verbal agreement is actually admissible in court.
Yes.
We're humans, we forget.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was under duress I made that, agreement, or maybe was a spur of the moment? What's the balance?
Okay, good. Oral agreements are binding. When it gets to court, what a court of law would have to look at is the circumstances under which that oral agreement was allegedly made. And if an oral agreement is hard, you now also observe the conduct of the parties. Putting all these circumstances together will determine if actually there was an agreement or not.
So we've come to our opinion poll. I need a legal counsel before starting a business. Now, all I need is a business plan and a startup capital.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, if you leave out your lawyer, I think the business is heading for failure.
Can you explain why?
All right, good. The lawyer is there to make money. We don't run a charity. Good. Especially when it comes to business, there's no charity. But if it's just to help fund fundamental rights, things and all that, well, considerations for charity may apply. When it comes to business, it is for money. So,
that being said,
you need a lawyer to advise you on corporate governance structure for your organization.
Okay.
One. Then the nature of your business will also determine the regulatory issues that would concern your business. For example, if you want to go into the oil and gas business, there is a multiple layer of regulations for you to go through to actually operate in some different sectors. If it is even in the music sector, we have issues of trademarking, copyrights, patents, and all that. So all these regulatory issues actually matter. If you fail to actually take these things to cognizance, there is always a very good chance you sustain losses after putting so much effort. Imagine at the initial stage of your business trying to build up partnerships, and you don't sign non-disclosure agreements with these other persons. If along the line you give vital information to these proposed partners and they see that, well, there's nothing binding us and I have this valuable information, they can turn that information into cash for themselves and they walk away since there's nothing binding both of you guys.
So what do you think? Is it necessary or it's not? So you could just drop your comment in the comment section and then we'll engage. Aside from contracts, are there other legal binding methods of attaining consent, approvals, or proof of agreement?
Contract is always the best in writing. It is always the best. Having to rely on verbal agreements may not necessarily work, and maybe sometimes there might not be formally drafted agreements, but correspondence between the parties will also determine the intention of the parties, what they are meant to do, responsibilities, roles, and all that. That might help, but it will now take a special skill to determine that from those documents. But I think in the long run, it's always best you have a contract.
Now, everybody has, I think we're in the knowledge age where you could just go online and just download a contract and just, change the words and all of that to fit your purpose. Yeah. What's the benefit of doing things like that, and what is the disadvantage? That's the word.
Okay. I'm quite aware you can get agreement online. Yeah. Any kind of agreement, in fact. I
can actually give you like a link to some.
Don't worry, we won't show you those links. Yeah. So disadvantage is you might get this agreement online, and since communication is even in English language, you might be led to think that this agreement that you're having is good enough for your business. But the difference is this. The nature of my own practice is one where you go to court every other day to determine the effects of some languages on particular documents. Mind you, the English language you speak on the streets every day in our business is not the same as when you're in the courtroom. The meaning the court gives to these words actually are not the same with the meaning that we use in everyday parlance. So you might think that, this agreement is best for me. The language I've used is tight. It's very good to protect me. But by the time you get to the court, there's always that likelihood that the definition which the court will give to it will be a lot different from what you had thought. Then, based on experience, apart from that format of the document which you've obtained online, there might be some other things you need to put into consideration when actually drafting that document. That is why, in the long run, you still need a lawyer.
So what are the legal issues for startup companies to put in place or to consider?
The legal issue is you incorporate. After incorporating, of course, you want to go through the regulatory loophole. You also make sure you register with the necessary agencies. For companies, you need to register with the PENCOM. You need to register with the tax office. You need to register with NSITF. You need to register with ITF. There's just an array of regulatory bodies to actually deal with. Of course, depending on the specific nature of your business, there are also some specialized agencies. For example, for insurance, you have the NICOM that you must register with. And also associations that you have to register with. I'm also aware that if you want to carry on a pilgrimage carriage for each year, you have to register with the Hajj Commission. So getting a lawyer involved will actually assist you in knowing who to register with and what kind of registration you require.
So what type of lawyer is most appropriate for a startup company?
In Nigeria, we don't necessarily have a dichotomy in lawyers. We just have lawyers called to the bar, who are all called barristers and solicitors of the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
Okay.
Good. Some will say they want to be doing real estate. Some of them say they want to be doing commercial. Some will say litigation. But it is observed that the economy in Nigeria has not really allowed lawyers to diversify fully. So it is only very few that get to diversify into field, considering the nature of instructions they get. For that company that is just starting up, I will still advise again, it is a lawyer experience in litigation that you should engage. Why this lawyer? This lawyer can easily see into the nearest future the kind of disputes that may arise, and he will guide you to avoid those disputes in assisting you with documentation and advice.
Are they not expensive? Because litigation sounds like dollars.
I won't deny the fact that litigation lawyers are quite expensive, because litigation itself is an expensive game. But more often than not, if you involve a litigation lawyer from the start, it is cheaper for you. Because what we now find out is that those that say that specialize in commercial practice and all that, they are with the lawyer at the initial stage of the business. When disputes arise, they step aside and say, we don't do litigation. I can call a lawyer who does litigation. Okay. So you now have to spend, you understand? They have led you into the dispute and they now abandon you in that dispute. So it is always advisable, start with your litigation lawyer. He can see all these potholes, loopholes. He advises you and takes you through the whole process.
A lawyer's guide to equity formation package. What does that mean?
It's basically left to the parties. Analysis of this may come in, it may be deduced from the circumstances to advise clients in knowing how much equity they pick up in a partnership or in a business or in a company. For example, I've had the opportunity of advising a client on project finance, hospitality project finance. There was an old hotel which we were to bring finance into it. The hotel was owing a bank some money, but my client wanted to bring so much money, which was about 3 times the value of that hotel, to bring it up to international standard. And just because the hotel was in existence, was a going concern, my client was looking at getting 20% of that hotel. And at the meeting, when we were asked to pitch how much of equity the client wanted, I said we wanted 80%. So the analysis was this. You're an hotel, a going concern. You are owing the bank this money. When my client brings us finance, he first buys up that debt, which was increasing with interest. So that is some value that he's bringing into the place already, just buying off that debt that was increasing, which you couldn't pay. Then now bringing my finance into that business, which is to turn it to an international brand, cash is king. You don't have money. So the fact that I have ready cash, which is not debt finance, that is additional value. Then the fact that the value of that company is going to go from, let's say, about 300 million to about 2.5 billion. That is a lot of value. So putting all this analysis together, I believe my client deserved a whole lot more.
But 80% is actually far reach.
Well, when we pitched the analysis to them, they considered it and saw that there was a strong point.
So did they give you the 80%?
Well, at the end of the day, they took 25%.
You all should employ him or hire him. You know, all those big deals. He brings out the big guns.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
75%. That's huge.
Well, it's huge, but I felt we should have done better.
What should I look out for in the contract?
Okay. What most business people want to see in the contract is how much they're earning. So they go to the remuneration clause.
So apart
yes.
from the clause,
Yes.
what else should I look out for?
Just go for your obligation. If it's an obligation you can perform under that contract, then what you are expecting from the other side. If you see this is what you want, then I think the contract is basically done. But there are still some technical terms that must be added, which is best done by a lawyer.
Thank you so much. So we've come to our giveaway session. This time around, our lawyer is very generous. So what do you have for us today?
It appears there's something to be given to some of our viewers. So what exactly is it? I've been thinking maybe it's just a small giveaway to some people who will watch this broadcast, and it will be the sum of 20,000 naira.
Whoa, this is where you clap. 20K.
20,000 naira. And to earn that, you watch this video definitely and follow.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel.
And also follow at Olubronx1 on Instagram.
And then just let us know on the comment section that you followed. We'll do a poll and then the winner gets 20K. Do you know what you can do with 20K? Don't use it to hire a lawyer. Thank you so much.
All right, then you're welcome.
Welcome back. Hope you were able to learn one or two things. I actually learned a lot because I'm part of the people that go online to, you know, take a contract and then tweak it. But now I think I have to do things differently. I need you to make a change from today. Hire a lawyer today because trust me, you don't want to go to court and you don't want to settle out of court because you get to spend more money. I still remain Gbogbo Swagger and this is Swagger's Lifestyle. Do not forget to share this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe, turn on the notification. Also, hire a lawyer. Thank you. Bye.
Swag, 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 swag.